In just a bit, well, to join, join our friends on television. We want to say good morning to those of you that's just joining us on television on GBN's Channel 7 and Channel 11, Channel 20 if you're in cable. Those of you that's on the World Wide Web at www.gbn.gd, or you're probably chiming in via our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. I'm Joseph Cadore, and welcome to the televised edition of the Mid-Morning Buzz. It is Tuesday, and as we do on Tuesdays, as is customary, we engage members of the Royal Grenada Police Force, and this morning we'll be speaking with ASP Leroy Joseph and Sergeant Andy John of the Immigration Department, talking about all things related to immigration, illegal entry, and the COVID-19 protocols, and any other matter that relates to the subject. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the program, and how are you?
Good morning, Joe. How are you doing? We are good here.
Wonderful. It's always great. It's always a pleasure to have you gentlemen from the Royal Grenada Police Force. Let us start with, when it comes to immigration, there's so many issues. But before we delve into it, the Immigration Department, as a department, help us to understand and appreciate what is your overarching rule. We know when you're an arm of the Royal Grenada Police Force, overall protection law, keeping law and order, but specifically immigration. What is your basic day-to-day function? ASP.
Okay, good. So to begin with, and thanks for the opportunity this morning for having us on your program, and to your viewing public. We do appreciate this forum right now. What is immigration? Immigration, let me start initially, is the movement of persons from across borders. Okay? And the object of the Immigration Act is to impose restriction on immigration and to regulate the deportation of aliens. So that is the purpose of the Immigration Act. Okay? Now, the function is to ensure that all non-national enter Grenada being regulated under the Immigration Act. And additionally, the Immigration and Passport Department. So we can leave with the passport side of it. So the issuance of passport also, we show travel document, ordinary passport, official diplomatic passport, emergency passport, and generally the documents from the issue by the competent authority, which is the Immigration and Passport Department. So we are twofold.
Wonderful. Let's talk about COVID, because I know COVID is an ongoing conversation, and I know we've had conversations with the IGPF as it relates already to protection of our borders. On the northern side, we've had a challenge, pending challenge, of course, that came out in the face of the La Soufrière volcano, and I know there were efforts, of course, to make sure we manage that. Plus the general challenge. What are some of the basic general day-to-day challenge that law enforcement authorities and they have to go through so as to ensure, because very often a lot of us do not seem to appreciate the virtue and value of keeping, as you said, the nationals in and safe, keeping the aliens out. How important a function that is to just national security.
Yeah, well, the department play a pivotal role in protecting our border. So on the border, we have what you call border control. And border control is state regulation. For example, immigration laws, immigration regulation, and protocols. Border management is a tool used to capture data at the border. So for example, we come in at the border and you swipe in your passport and we'll capture your data. So this is called border management, which is separate and apart from border control. Okay, so in effect, at the border, we protect our border by capturing data and enforcing the immigration regulation and the Immigration Act. Okay, you made mention of that the corridor in the Grenadines between the Grenada, the Carriacou, the northern side. Okay, and you also made mention of the volcanic activities in St. Vincent. Okay, and that poses a challenge to us because we update our patrol with Coast Guard. So we had joint patrol with the regular police officers, Coast Guard, and immigration officer to mitigate any eventualities coming down that corridor. Suffice to say, we haven't seen much of illegal persons entering our show as we expected. considering the situation, we thought he would have been more vulnerable.
Right.
However, the people in St. Vincent, they remain in St. Vincent. Even talking to some of the sister islands, St. Lucia and Dominica, very few of them move over to the country. They remain in mainland St. Vincent, also in the Grenadines. However, that does not put a damper on us. We maintain our patrol, we maintain our vigilance, and to this point in time, we intercept a few persons who enter our country illegally, and there is an increase from last year to this year. Last year, for the entire year 2020, immigration charged 15 persons for entering the country illegally. So in other words, when I say illegally, I mean it did enter the country without the consent of an immigration officer. So in layman terms, they will say illegal entry, but the charge is entering the country without the consent of an immigration officer. And so we charged over 15 last year. Okay, surprising to know that from January 1st to May 31st, which is yesterday, 24 persons has been charged for entering our country illegally. And this is not half of the year. Because today is the beginning of June.
Right.
So the data I'm giving you is up to the 31st of May, which is yesterday. 24 persons was charged. So we are very, much vigilant. Okay, so we have to mitigate any eventuality of any infraction of people trying to infiltrate our security, coming in without checking. You just never know when person enter into our jurisdiction illegally, what is their intention? Because why would you think about entering illegally? Therefore, you have some ulterior motive. Or else you will come in and check with immigration at the various ports of entry. And we have several ports of entry which St. John will explain. But once you come in, put it that way under the radar. Okay, so you come in undetected. Then we will have it that you come in with some ulterior motive. And we have to, as a department and as the entire RGPF, we work together. We work in synergy with customs and the different job squad and CID and regular. We all work collaboratively to mitigate those circumstances.
Let me ask you, because that is quite alarming. So the same period in question in 2015, we're halfway there. We have 24. What in your estimation, gentlemen, is giving rise to that? Because you were saying disappointingly, in the context of we would have assumed that the current situation in St. Vincent would have given rise to that influx. You're saying that has not been much of a challenge for us and our neighboring islands. What then, in your estimation and in your investigations, has it revealed that has given rise to that increase in illegal entry into the country?
Okay, I believe what we're seeing is an increase in South Americans coming here. So you're talking about Colombian, Panamanian, Venezuelans. We have never seen that trend before. So there is an increase in illicit activities coming to Grenada. We have over 6 Venezuelans was charged for illegal entry, 1 Panamanian, 1 Colombian, 1 Trinidadian. Okay, so that the South American country, we see an increase. One may believe they may increase from St. Vincent, okay, but we see an increase coming from that side, South America.
We're going to get back to that, because that in itself, I know we would agree, has its own suspected, I know what I'm saying, it has its own suspected challenges, because normally once we start hearing Colombians, Venezuelans, as nationals, our antenna goes up. But let's talk about our different ports of entry. I personally have often I appreciate the work that immigration does, is that because Grenada, based on our locations, we have all kind of little hole all over the place, as they say. I mean, they are the regularly manned ports of entry, and plus there's all of the secondary avenue. Let's talk about what exactly, how is it, what is the plan, the strategy that is employed, the deployment of officers, your role and responsibilities into ensuring that you check all cracks, creeks, crevices, bays, all open spaces to ensure that you keep us safe. Andy?
Joe, you must bear in mind that we are, our borders are porous. So, to cover Elk Creek and Corony, as you made mention of, is very difficult.
Right.
Okay, well, however, St. John will answer your question.
Great.
As it relates to the ports of entry, COVID-19 have caused us to really be proactive as it relates to managing our ports of entry. At present, we have 11 legal ports of entry. We have the Maurice Bishop International Airport, we have the Port Louis Marina, we have the Melville Street Terminal, we have the Prickly Bay Marina, the Lafayette Blue Marina, we have the Grenada Marina, and in Carriacou we have the Lauriston Airport, the Carriacou Marina, and the Tyrrell Bay Marina. But because of COVID-19, we had to be proactive in terms of organizing a strategy to effectively manage our borders. So at present, though we have 11 ports of entry in the Tri-Island state, we have 5 functioning ports of entry at the moment. We have the MBI, the Maurice Bishop International Airport, the Port Louis Marina, the Lauriston Airport, the cruise ship terminal, and the St. George's Harbour. We thought that was necessary because it's very important that we have control as to proper control as to people entering and departing our island. And because of the COVID protocol, which Mr. Joseph would be speaking about later, we had to find a way to properly control the people in and out. And the best way to do that, we thought it was limiting the amount of ports of entry so that we have better control of people flowing in and out of the country.
And that, of course, comes with that makes life quite easy because those are the standard man ports. But ASP did hint to the point, Andy, that Grenada is very porous. Our topography, it allows it can lend itself to the challenges in terms of and of course, given the fact of limited manpower, you can't be everywhere every time. What are some of the strategies that you have in place so as to, outside of the established controlled and established ports of entry, what is the strategy that the immigration department employs so as to ensure that at least you have eyes and ears on the ground, visual aids around the country to at least give it a semblance and listen, we have to keep things under control?
Well, we employ a few strategies. One of the most effective strategy we employed was increasing patrol and having joint patrol with the Coast Guard and immigration. And as Joseph had said earlier on, that we have seen an increase in illegal immigration. And I believe one of the reasons why we've seen that increase is because of the increased patrols. Information sharing among different entities, we step up on that as well, and we've seen the fruits of that. So I think employing those two strategies, we have seen some serious improvements.
Let's go back to where with ASP Joseph, we hinted to the fact that you've seen an increase in the numbers of illegal immigrants in the country. Let's talk of what, without scaring anybody, but let's look at the harsh realities as to what are some of the potential challenges that as immigration officers, police officers on a whole, that you've recognized, and the challenges that it is as these folks, they come and they mix and mingle within our society.
One of the main challenges you could face as a country is that of criminal activities. Undesirables coming to our show to conduct criminal activities. And we have to be very mindful of that. As Sir John mentioned, we have to share information. So we need the public here to help us. Okay, yes, we have over 1,000 police officers and more, but however, we must bear in mind the RGPF cannot do it all by themselves. And that's why we have to engage with greater synergy with other agencies and greater collaboration, even with the ministries and so on. Because you don't know the intent, and for the most part, there will be criminal intent of persons who enter illegally, as I mentioned earlier. Because if a bona fide visitor entering our show, they will come in and check with immigration and customs and health and other entities at the border. So we will find, the persons who are coming in under the radar is persons who come with, criminal intent, and we, as a RGPF, we are trying our best in terms of information sharing to mitigate those eventualities.
Indeed. I mean, you would always want to make sure that we keep our borders safe. 20 minutes gone past the hour of 11 o'clock. For those of you that's just joining us, my guest this morning is ASP Leroy Joseph and Sergeant John of the Immigration Department, and we're talking all things immigration. We've just been hinted to us that we've seen an increase in the number of illegal entry in the country. Looking at the period from January to May last year, for the entire year, there was only 15. So far for the year on the review, there's 24, and of course ASP was just hinting to the fact that those numbers has its own increased challenges. But let's go, gentlemen, to COVID-19 protocols, and I think your work as it is, you work in a pretty tense environment. You always have to keep your eyes and your ears and your 6th and 7th and 10th senses open. COVID protocols, COVID as it is in its present construct and going forward. Let's talk about some of the protocols that are in place. Anything new we can anticipate? What's the plan going forward?
Okay, well, there is nothing new in the protocol. It still exists in protocol, as you may hear, for the Ministry of Health. But just to emphasize on the protocol, for example, someone will come in at the Morris Bishop International Airport, they must come in with a negative PCR test, okay, or fully vaccinated, meaning that the 2 jabs and 2 weeks thereafter. So they consider to be fully vaccinated. Then they spend 2 days in quarantine, as opposed to with a negative PCR test, you will spend about between 6 to 7 days in quarantine, whether a hotel or whether at your home, because there are also home quarantine, and you could hotel or some guest house, you could quarantine there also, providing that the fact there is nobody staying at your home. Because imagine if you comes in with the COVID with the virus, and you're living with among other persons at the home, the permission will not be given to you to stay in that home with others. But if you live by yourself, therefore, in the circumstances, permission will be granted to you by the Ministry of Health to live at your home, which you call home quarantine. So at the airport, I believe the Ministry of Health at the airport is doing a very good job. Immigration and Custom, the entire stakeholders at the airport, they are doing a very good job. People comes in, and people will be coming in with COVID-19. Okay, because imported cases, presently, you could stand corrected. There may be 0 cases in Grenada now. I stand corrected. So if any case have to be here now, it must be imported. Okay, and we have to expect persons, the border is open, person will be coming in, probably even though they might appear to have a negative PCR test, something could turn up thereafter and they could test positive. But what I do know as a fact, and of certainty, these cases are controlled. Because we know definitely if it's 1 or 2 cases, they are probably in a hotel or in quarantine area or somewhere isolated. But there will be more cases coming in as imported cases, as I said before, but it is controlled. And I believe the Ministry of Health has said that they must be recognized for the effort in detection at the border. Okay, at the seaports, just to talk about the seaport, persons coming in, for example, on yachts, the protocol is that they have to send what you call a notification to Grenada through Sail Clear. That is a system set up by CISLED Customs. So you will probably, let's say, for example, a yacht leaving St. Lucia coming to Grenada. They will send a notification with the name of the yacht and all the description of the vessel and persons, crew on board, passengers on board. And so we will have an appreciation as to the vessel coming our way, and we will inspect it. Now, upon arrival, they will give what we call a provisional entry. So they will not be landed automatically. The boat will not be cleared automatically. They'll be going to quarantine. Quarantine is just outside by Panday. The yacht will be spending some time there. They expect to come with a negative PCR test. Okay. However, they still have to do another test before they could say, okay, you are free to enter our space. And when that is done with the yachts or major boats, then they are free to clear in. Now, last year, the bigger vessels like Tropical and so on, when they enter our jurisdiction, they were given what they call no show leave. So show leave would not be granted to them. Mm-hmm. So they cannot come out of the boat. They have to remain on board, and the agent will do all the necessary paperwork for them, or the loading of the vessel and also discharging of the cargo. That is it is important. Is a prerequisite so that the virus will not be spread and they remain on board. Even those Trinidad boat, boat applying the Trinidad route, those the traffickers boat is referred to. Mm-hmm. It might be easier to understand that way. When they leave Grenada, applying that route to Trinidad, they will not be able to disembark. They're not allowed to disembark. And likewise, when they come here, they must come up again, and they will be tested for any negative PCR test. They must show a negative PCR test. So the protocol is sort of strict, is rigid, and I think it serves its intended purpose, and it serves it very well. And up to this point in time, I believe we are controlling the border good. The only problem we have now is that of illegal person. Imagine if someone coming from Venezuela, Trinidad, entering our country illegal with the virus, going to our community, our village.
Right.
I mean, you just look at how the devastating effect it can have on our country. So we have to protect, our borders. As I said, it's porous, but however, we are trying our best. And persons who are living close to the borders, to the shore, the villages may be close to the shore, and you may see a boat come up, a strange boat may come up at the shore, some strange person, just make a call to the police station, call immigration, let them know that, you see someone strange coming, from a boat onto the shore and is walking around. That will help us. The sharing of information will help us a long way. And that again is a mitigating factor, where we can reduce on the spread of it, because I could tell you, it will be very, very devastating if any illegal immigrant enter our shore with the virus and going through, because they already did something wrong, they already entered illegally. Right. So therefore they will do reckless things. They won't take care of any other things to think about. They won't be safe. So let me be mindful of that.
Let me ask you though, because there's often been the challenge that so there's those individuals who would attempt to enter the country illegally. And how much of a challenge do you have with persons overstaying their time? How do you treat with that? In both instances, if somebody they try to enter illegally, or you might be a case where somebody, John, they came into regular port of entry, they say they come in for 2 weeks. 2 years down the line, you still see them balancing around the carnage as though they born and bred here.
Well, COVID has caused us to look at our responsibilities kind of different, not sacrificing or not failing to do what's supposed to be done. But we have situations where people come in Grenada for, like last year, during the COVID era, during when COVID initially started, right, in Grenada, we had people who were supposed to spending like 1 month or 2 months in Grenada, and because of the suspension of the flights, they get kind of stuck here. So immigration will facilitate people in those kind of situations. What we are paying particular attention about is the people entering illegally. The people who are overstaying, at least we know they are here. We have the records. We are working with them. But the people who are coming illegally, that means we have no information about them. And that in itself is a danger. So we work along with the people who are overstaying. We try to accommodate them. We try to assist them, because a lot of them are here. It is right to say they are here against the will. We see people on a regular basis coming, and they would like to go, but because of the suspension of the flights, they are stuck here. So the immigration department is trying to assist those people in these cases.
Let's go back, if we may, because I know it is something that the RGPF they thrive on, and you've been making attempts in recent times to build that synergy between yourself and the public. Traditionally, there's been this stigma that, it's the police and them, and I ain't meddle with them. And we know in recent times that there's been efforts to bridge that divide. Anything you do specifically from the immigration department? I know a lot of the other departments, they get involved. What can you say specifically from the immigration department that you do so as to reduce on that divide and build that relationship which you're asking for in terms of the public being able to feed you information and being your eyes and ears? Because as you said, it is impossible. And it is critical that in a land of 100,000, where you have a limited, just under 1% of it just being police officers, it puts you in a rather precarious position, doesn't it?
Yes, it is. And so we have agencies we have great synergy with, like the yachting community, for example. Okay, they will give us information if we see a strange yacht turn up, or they might see a small boat turns up at our border. Also, we have persons throughout the length and breadth of Grenada, concerned citizens who also call us and give us information. So we have people out there, who have Grenada at heart, and they will call us and give us information. Sometimes we go to schools and speak about the safety of our country and how to protect our country and what we are doing as immigration officers and how we want them to assist us in keeping our country safe. So we have a presentation, we do lecture in schools with the Yachting Association, with MIAG. Okay, so we always try to ensure that and keep that synergy, okay, whereby we can aid us with information, and it speaks volume for the entire RTPF in solving crime. Because as I said before, on and on, persons who enter our country illegally, they have some ulterior motive. They're not bona fide visitors. And, I don't know, let me touch on that. I don't know how much time you have for us again on the program. But let me just say, last week, you might, if you listen to to Parliament, you may realize the Immigration Act, under Section 36(1) of the Immigration Act, there is an increase in the penal section. Now, that section was the penalty there was $3,000, and that was this in 1969. Okay, and it moved from $3,000 to $12,000. It has not been law and yet. This is a bill in Parliament, so the Senate will have to debate it also. Governor General sent it to it, gazetted, then it become law. Okay, so there will be an increase in the penal section from $3,000 to $12,000. Also, under the offenses, same Section 36, there is an expansion or the broaden the offenses under the Immigration Act. So, for example, a Grenadian will be harboring or hiding a non-national, knowing very well, having knowledge that they are here illegal, and they will harbor them, hide them from the authority. There is a charge under the Immigration Act for harboring or hiding a non-national from the authority. So that act was a very crucial act at this time, very critical at this time, taking into consideration the environment which we have to work and live in, the spread of COVID-19. So that again will serve as a deterrent, the increase in the penal section and the broadening of the offenses under the Immigration Act. So I think now is right. The time is right now, and it's very critical to introduce this type of bill in order to become an act, so immigration officers can enforce it, and for persons or violators of the laws.
Indeed, enforcement of the law is always a critical component in ensuring success in what you do. 25 minutes on to the hour of 12 o'clock. I'm speaking here with ASP Leroy Joseph and Sergeant John of the Immigration Department. Gentlemen, we're out of time, but certainly it would be remiss of me if I don't allow you a minute each, 30 seconds to a minute, just to give your own wrapping up statements.
So just quickly, thank you, Joe. Just quickly, just to say that we beg the public to cooperate with us, collaborate with us. Okay, in terms of information sharing, they might see something strange, see someone strange, say something. They might see a boat entering the country for the first time in a very suspicious way. It could be a bay which normally a boat may not enter. Please inform us. Persons in your village, for the first time, please again inform us. You never know where they come from. They could bring the virus into Grenada. We have to protect our country. So I want to encourage persons to always pass on information for anything I'm streamed. And I must again use the opportunity to thank the general public for the information given to us. And that's why today we could say we chat 24 persons. It is not always intercepted by the law enforcement, but based on information received from the public, it was able to charge so many persons. So I want to keep that that synergy going and information sharing. And again, I want to thank the public for sharing the information with us. Thank you.
Sergeant?
Okay, I'd like to join with SP Joe by thanking you for that opportunity and to encourage the general public up there to please share that information. You can be anonymous. You do not have to give your name. You can be contacted at 440-2456, or you can send an email at immigrationgnd@spicel.com. Thank you.
Immigrationgnd@spicel.com. You guys have had that email since Leroy kind of time. Spicel.com. Okay. Anyway, gentlemen, thanks a lot. ASP Leroy Joseph, Sergeant Andy John of the Immigration Department. It's always a pleasure having you guys here. Feel free, just schedule another occasion, and we here at the GBN will be more than willing to accommodate you. All the best. Continue doing what you're doing. Keep yourself safe, and we commend you for what you're doing to keep Grenada safe. All the best to you, gentlemen.
All the best. Thanks for having us again.
Thank you. 23 minutes onto the hour. Reminding you at the top of the hour is going to be the midday edition, a production of our News and Current Affairs Department. For those of you that is on television, we send you back to Master Control. We send you back to regular programming. For those of you on the radio, I will continue here with you up until about 5 or so minutes to the hour. Reminding you though at the top of the hour is going to be the midday edition, a production of our News and Current Affairs Department. It is classic 105.5 and 105.9 on the FM band.